Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Chris, aka RumblePack92, and you are watching This is the Waypoint, the Star Wars show here on the Waypoint podcast. Today, we are talking about Bad Batch Season 1. It's a spoiler cast. If you haven't seen Bad Batch, get out, fix your life, go watch it, come back. Why are you even here if you haven't seen it?
Get out.
So there will be spoilers. That's the point I'm driving at here. Joining me today, as always, we got Josh Davies.
Good soldiers follow orders. Sorry, I keep like when you say
I
my full
usually do
name,
you
I'm like
last. I usually do you
it
last
throws
too. I
me
was like,
off.
he's got a quote ready. I'm gonna do him first and see if he'll still remember it or not.
Nope, completely dropped the ball.
You pulled out the good soldiers follow orders quick, so I mean that was still
Oh
impressive.
yeah,
It's still
thank you.
impressive. We've also got Alec Bobko
Hello.
and of course Bret Jemerson.
You may podcast when ready.
Ooh, I like that a lot. I like
Ooh.
that a lot. Now, I wanted to ask you before we get into it. Of course, we do hear the famous, now iconic line, "You may fire when ready." Do you think that was the actual? Was that the audio clip from A New Hope? Because it sounded like it.
If not the
Oh,
audio clip, like definitely a nod to A New Hope for
Right.
sure, and just
Yeah.
having like the actor in the booth just be like, just throw back this old line, and then
Because they did that.
Because
They did that in Rogue One with Tarkin.
Mhm.
They did it with Rogue One
Mhm.
to where, of course, they had somebody else voice him, but they used the New Hope audio for the "You may fire when ready" line.
Right.
Which I thought was neat. Okay, but unlike most of our other Star Wars review shows here on Waypoint, this one is actually going to have some very light structure to it. There's a lot of stuff to cover, and I figure sort of boiling it down into a couple points is probably the easiest way to do it because Bad Batch is 16 episodes long, so we're not going to do an episode by episode breakdown. Instead, we're just going to talk about our general thoughts and feelings on it, which is the first thing I want to talk about. Your general thoughts on the show. Alec, I'm going to start with you, man. How did you like the Bad Batch?
Yeah, so one thing I think would be good to know is that I actually watched it week to week. Like I literally watched it every week, Fridays during my lunch break. And I actually really enjoyed it week to week. Just a nice little half hour here and there. I love the Rebels references, so many of them. Did not realize it took me so long. I think until we talked about it on a call together that was Caleb Dune. Like I didn't put that
Oh, yeah.
together.
Oh, yeah.
That took me a while too.
Because I mean, we get it so stuck in our head as Kanan.
Exactly,
And I forget that
yeah.
his real name was Caleb Doom. And so when they're like, Caleb, I was like, huh? It wasn't until he pulled out the lightsaber, and then my brain clicked. I was like, wait, I know that voice. Like,
Mhm.
yeah.
But I really enjoyed it. Loved all the characters. Got almost the entire Bad Batch there. Just missing Echo. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I liked it a lot better than the Clone Wars. Yet to be determined if I like it better than Rebels.
Wow, season 1 already been in Clone Wars, huh?
I mean,
That's
Clone Wars
impressive.
really
That's saying something.
didn't have a
Let's do that.
high bar.
Better than season 1 of Clone Wars or the whole show?
Season 1.
Okay.
I mean,
ramp up. Same.
I was going to say
Exactly,
the last like 3 seasons of Clone Wars are something else.
Yes.
Yeah, the first few, if people haven't watched Clone Wars, they're very filler heavy. Whereas this has a couple episodes of filler, but nothing as bad as the first few seasons of Clone Wars.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I'm just going to go ahead and push into it because I'm the host and I'm allowed to do that. I'm going to give my quick general thoughts and impressions on the show as well. I really want to talk about it. I'm so excited. I would agree that I think this is probably the strongest first season of any Star Wars animated show. Which I think just comes from that team like doing it so often that I think they're able to just they know what they're doing now and are able to craft it. I do think the show is still kind of finding its not necessarily its footing, but definitely kind of finding its niche, its tone, its voice.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think it actually could have been shorter. I agree that there was some filler here and there, and in those fillers you got some like plot points or story arcs that were kind of repeated a little bit. Usually, like
We need money.
Echo's like, yeah, or Omega will be like, hey, let's go do this thing, and Hunter goes no, and then Omega's like, please, and then Hunter goes okay. And then there's growth between the two of them to the point where it's like it happens just a little too often to be like, all right, you're pushing this a little. a little too much in the exact same format.
Right.
Um, but I agree. I really, really liked these characters a lot. Um, I like even it might sound weird, that even Crosshair, like I really ended up enjoying just watching him anytime he was on screen. I know some
Mhm.
people really wanted this to be like the bridge between the Republic and the Empire, and it doesn't really pan out to be that. It was much more character focused than I was expecting going into it, because most of the other shows, or at least the Clone Wars, is really just more about pushing the universal story forward, whereas this one is very much about the characters in the Bad Batch, which I really really liked, especially Hunter and Omega. Like they were
Right.
clearly the main characters of the
Mhm.
show.
1000%.
Um, which if I had any complaints, it would probably be like Tech and Echo didn't really get to do much,
Mhm.
really.
Same
I'd
with
I'd,
same
I'd
with
like to
like
see a
Wrecker
little more
too.
out of them.
Mhm.
Wrecker at least got the plot line of his
He
chip.
might turn. You're right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But, like, other than that, though, like, there wasn't really much for him, and other than, like, bonding with, uh, Omega quite a bit.
yeah. Uh, Crosshair gets a lot of character progression too, which I like in
1000%.
another direction, but I mean he did,
Right.
uh, which was cool, and so yeah, I just overall I really really enjoyed it. It's by far the best looking
I
these
was
animated
just gonna
shows have ever
say, I
been.
meant to say that this show, every episode, there's always a scene that I'm just like, this looks amazing.
Mhm.
Like that just nice like blur for the background when characters are talking to each other. Like,
Oh yeah, absolutely, and like it's weird to talk about it just because it's an animated thing. There aren't physical cameras anywhere, but the cinematography outstanding. Just their camera placement
mhm,
in all of their shots, like the shot composition in every single episode is always absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it's an animated show that's shot like a Star Wars movie,
Mhm.
and it really really shows the visual identity, the cool sort of transition between uh like original trilogy into or prequel trilogy into original trilogy is really
mhm.
really neat. That was one of my favorite things I loved, especially was the episode with where we see the clone commandos for the first time. Which hey, clone commandos, fuck yes. Oh my god, where's Delta Squad? Um, but there's that whole thing to where there's that plot point. I think that and that's really where this plot point starts to move. That they're moving past the clones now at this point, and
Mhm.
they're becoming stormtroopers. Like we see the clones start wearing different outfits that look more like the stormtroopers that we see in Rebels.
Right. They look like
Um,
the Ralph McQuarrie, like, concept art for A
yeah,
New Hope, which, like, was a amazing, like, nod
had
to
like
that. Mhm.
the flat bit on the front. The face part was a little different, but it's very clearly
Exactly.
like a step in between the clones to the
Mhm.
stormtroopers as we know them. Yeah, very very cool. I knew I'd recognize it somewhere, and I couldn't put my finger on it. Yeah, it's totally the Ralph McQuarrie version of the stormtroopers.
Right.
Um, but I love that whole episode where they meet. Oh, who was the clone commando? Was it Wolf?
Not
That
Wolf.
sounds right.
Oh,
Or
Gregor?
Gregor.
Gregor, thank you.
Gregor.
Mhm.
That's yep.
Yeah, and just that was really where they, because that was in the last like what 4 episodes. That's really where they start
Mhm.
pushing the hey, we're becoming the Empire now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, but I still really really love that whole thing. It was super super awesome. I think there's a lot to love about the show, and
Mhm.
I really really enjoyed it. Brett, what about you, Ming?
Yeah, overall, I really liked it. I thought, and you brought it up, I thought we didn't get enough character progression with Echo and Tech. I feel like every time Tech was talking, he was just like explaining something
Mhm.
about whatever, and then Echo too. Like, obviously, we got him in Clone Wars, but he was at this really unique point of being a reg, being part of the Bad Batch. That I wish we would have gotten more of.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, this and some say it's a weakness, but I loved it that how cameo heavy this show was, at least this season.
Mhm.
Because all the cameos were awesome. Like, um,
I never felt like they were out of place.
no,
Like
no,
they always made sense and
Always
push the
connected.
story forward. Yeah.
that's the thing is that they worked very excellently, and then also even describe like talking about issues of like I can't remember which episode it is. It's like the fourth episode, or I think, or something like that, when they go to rescue the separatist leader or senator.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
bring those kind of issues, which I wish they would have gone more into, of like, what does it mean? And obviously this is season one, so they're gonna continue with this. But what does
Mhm.
this mean with, like, we're not fighting for the Republic anymore? So what's our purpose now?
Yeah.
Uh, so
Mhm.
I liked it, but there were a few things that I wish could have gone better. But I mean, overall, it was still like a B plus.
Yeah, I'd kind of agree with that. With that, it's like they definitely touched on the idea of like, hey, we're not soldiers anymore. But it didn't go much further past than they're like, yeah, you're kind of right. And so, I hope, yeah, maybe that's a thing we get in season 2, and hopefully,
Mhm.
fingers crossed that that's there. Josh, what about you, man?
I loved it. I think it's one of the higher Filoni cartoon seasons for sure. Um, I love the family dynamic between this like group of like specially engineered clones with each of their traits, and I felt like they played off each other well, even though I wholeheartedly agree some didn't get the same character development that others did. And I love not only having this family, but then this bigger tie of the band of brothers with the soldiers and clones still being there,
Mhm.
right? Where like
Mhm.
these guys still care. Like they still care about the clones, right?
Them
You
using
see them.
I was just gonna bring that
stunners
Yeah,
up.
on all of the
yeah.
clones is such a great touch.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah, and they're all like all shoot to kill, and these guys like are still trying to just take them down as non-lethally as possible. And then as Brett was saying, I love the cameos. I didn't think they overstayed their welcome or they were unnecessary. In fact, I could maybe have used a couple more in some like less filler episodes and maybe more cameo episodes, but that's what season two's for. Love the Rebels connections, as we already said, and then yeah, absolutely just like watching this on the QLED TV, just it's so beautiful. Like this is easily
That's
the
looks sick.
best looking show, and just seeing because I watched Clone Wars the full time through last year, just
Mhm.
seeing the like evolution of that art style um, has just been something else. And
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
overall I loved it.
Yeah, absolutely. On the topic of cameos and those sorts of things too, I think one of my favorite episodes was the first episode that follows the Syndulla family.
Hmm.
Um,
Mhm.
you see the Bad Batch once in one season, but because Hera was the main character of that episode, the Bad Batch were essentially the cameos of that episode, to the point where they were treated like side characters, like in the writing and that sort of. They just kind of show up and then they
Oh
leave.
yeah. Hmm.
And there was something about that I really really enjoyed, because you get like 15 minutes of an episode and you're like, man, are the Batch even in this one?
Right.
like,
Right.
that's
Yeah.
a bold move to do. I think like halfway through the first season of a show.
Hmm.
But I thought it paid off, and was just really really cool, where they're there and then they're not. We got no scenes. I think what impressed me so much is that there are no scenes that follow it the Bad Batch, like any sort of internal. I was going to say conflict's not the word, like internal discussions or anything with it. There's no
Debate.
cutaways that
Yeah.
talk about, that go into like what they're thinking or what they're talking about or whatever. There's a scene where they're talking to somebody,
Hmm.
but the camera doesn't follow them at all because it's still on Hera and Omega. And I
Right.
really really like the way that they pulled that off. I just thought that was so cool.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Um, and just what a neat little thing.
And that
Oh
just
yeah.
set up
you know.
perfectly the connection for the next episode of them coming
Hmm.
back to help them.
Mhm.
Right.
And also we got to see Chopper, which is always a plus.
Hmm.
So
Yes.
Mhm.
Best
And
droid.
oh yeah,
second.
one of the things we were talking about in our either our first or our second episode, which is unfortunately lost, rest in peace, due to tech errors. But we were talking about how we didn't really get to see personalized clones, like they were all
Mhm.
kind of in white armor or kind of dark armor
Mhm.
with the squad that Crosshair leads. But
Mhm.
then we got Howell, and I felt like an excellent addition to the show, and especially like we start the kind of thread of the regular clones uprising
Mhm.
at that point, right? Because him and like a handful of others completely surrender and give in to the Empire. So yeah, those two episodes back to back were fantastic.
It's cool seeing how, like, yeah, like, so, like, still having like the paint on his armor and that sort of thing. He's still got like a non-regulation haircut.
Hmm.
Uh, when he pulls off the armor was really cool, and I think kind of sets the idea. It was like, hey, like Order 66 inhibitor chip, like help them with that transition, but I don't know how much it affects them past that.
Right.
To the point where you could get to the point like similar to the clone that comes to speak to what's his name that's leading War Mantle,
Hmm.
where he's like, hey, we've completely destroyed the city, like in the last episode.
Yeah.
He's like, we destroyed the city, it's all gone, and you can see how much it hurts him.
Oh yeah, there's
Like,
like a stutter in his voice. Like there, like
yeah,
yeah, yeah, which
like he's
was like
following
such a
orders,
subtle
but
nod.
he's like, damn.
I blew up my home. Like yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, I do hope that we see like some sort of like you said, like clone uprising or civil war or something like that.
Hmm.
Like go on. I think that's really really interesting, and is a good way of sort of adapting that same storyline from the old expanded universe as well, which we got to play in the original Battlefront 2 as well. Although that was on Camino, Camino's gone now,
Right.
or
Mhm.
at least the facility on
Yeah.
Camino is gone.
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, I really like that, and just overall like that. I remember hearing like some of the devs talk about how specific they were about keeping all of the clones like as uniform as possible. Like to really
Hmm.
say it's like, hey, they're still clones, but these dudes work for the Empire now. They're not the clones you
Right.
knew anymore, and
Hmm.
they're gonna act more like stormtroopers now that the Empire has stepped in and taken over. And it's just that's a touch that I really really liked, and helps to like
Yeah.
separate like them from the batch,
Hmm.
who were already kind of outside of the clones to begin with. But I thought
Right.
it was really unique and interesting, and just added a little more to the feeling of the show.
Hmm.
Um, anything else you wanted to talk about before we move on? And anything that you really enjoyed?
Just the transition period between like 3 and 4. Like
Yeah.
I'm always a sucker for that, whether it be like Jedi Fallen Order. Um, so yeah, that's one of my highlights of this show is just like seeing how they're gonna start phasing the clones out, whether it be like completely getting rid of all the test subjects and like experiments and defunding Camino, or they're having Crosshair lead a specialized unit, and then they're playing with the costumes. They're still keeping around the clone commandos.
Mhm.
So yeah, just the transition period I think is uh, something that we haven't really seen or explored a lot in Star Wars before, and so I thought that was a very interesting take on it all.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. One
Um,
thing. Oh, go ahead, Brett.
I was gonna say, yeah, the whole episode with Captain Hauser was like probably my favorite part of the whole show, the whole season. That
Mhm.
or the Cad Bane standoff.
Of course.
The Cat
Yeah.
Bane standoff. Fuck yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right, hold
Those
your
three
thoughts,
are
and then
dope.
I'm gonna touch on that in a minute. We'll circle back around to that. But
Mhm.
Alec, what you have up next?
I thought it was just cool that we actually got to see the HUD of what the clones see for the first
Mhm.
time.
Yeah,
Oh
dude.
yeah. Hmm.
Okay, I'm glad you both brought up some things that I actually I sort of have planned. So I'm gonna move on to the next little segment that I wanted to get into, which I would like to go around and hear your guys' favorite moment in the show. I'm gonna go ahead and start because I'm very excited and I love Star Wars. My favorite moment in the show, actually, weirdly enough, there are lots of really really great ones that you guys might bring up. So I'm not gonna say. But if I had to pick like one spot throughout season one where I was like, damn, that was really cool, or whatever, it would be the point in the second to last episode when Hunter looks at Crosshair. He's like, Crosshair, this isn't you. Like, it's your inhibitor chip. And Crosshair goes, I had that removed a long time ago. I was like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah. Oh,
I
Yeah,
think I
that
think
heart,
he might be
heartstrings.
lying. I think he might be lying, but yeah, that was pretty
I
good.
Here's the thing. I don't want him to be lying because that's so fascinating.
that hits so
Like,
hard. Like,
I
Hmm.
love the idea that it really is like this is just what Crosshair wants. And
mhm.
that's so cool. What an interesting dynamic, because he was always a little off compared to them, like even like the few episodes that we got of them in Clone Wars, right, when they were first introduced. Like he was definitely a little edgier, for lack of a better word. And so I don't think it like goes against his personality or anything to be like, no, I'm 100% on board with what's happening, you know.
Right.
I just think it's such a cool dynamic, and made him like my favorite character in the show to watch. Like anytime he's on screen, I'm just like, yes, let's go. Like that's so like such a really really fascinating character, and you can still see like the sort of internal struggle that he has in that last episode too, when they're like, "Come with us," or whatever, and then Hunter's like, "We just want different things, man,"
Oh,
and then
yeah.
leaves. Like I really like I really like that.
Mhm.
I would have to put that initial moment of Crosshair like revealing that he does not have his inhibitor chip as my favorite moment in the show. Alec, what about you, man?
Um, I mean, obviously, I just finished a rewatch of Rebels recently, so I love me all the Rebels references. So you getting to see
Mhm.
young Hera and Chopper. Um, but man, like actually think of a moment. I would honestly maybe like an
I mean,
arc
you could
would
put it
be
down as
the
like episode or however you want to describe it. I
yeah,
think
I was like kind of like I
it's
would say
very
like an
open.
arc would be I like the kind of just following like Fennec and then like that battle between like trying to get Omega and then the Cad Bane, all that stuff.
Yeah, man.
Like that
Heck
was
yeah.
really cool.
Super agree. Seeing Cad Bane again was electric. And on that note, Brett, what was your favorite part of the show, man? Favorite moment?
Favorite moment? Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Captain Hauser taking agency with what was going on and choosing to not want to be a part of the Imperial machine anymore.
I really thought you were going to say the Cad Bane shootout. I really did.
I thought,
That's why I was like, hold on, let's not talk about it yet.
okay, I mean that's I was gonna like because that's like
No,
more
that's the thing. We can talk about both. You can have to.
yeah or we can bring it up later, but I just I felt like the Captain Hauser episode it was more nuanced in the sense of uh, either his chip didn't act or the effects wore off, whatever, but like that he
Mhm.
chose to do something different than what he was ordered to. And then seeing the other clones react, or not all of them, but some of them react in the same way was like, okay, like these guys have some agency. They still
Right.
have some agency. And so that was just awesome to see. And then I'm gonna go with another mini moment here. I think it was Scorch from Republic Commando who was in episode 14 War Mantle.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
just that little mini, it's like 2 seconds where he actually like punks Hunter for a little bit. I was like, okay, cool. Like, not all the Imperial guys are just like chumps, the kind of that
Right.
classic Star Wars trope. Like, he actually got him for a second. So I was like, okay, cool.
Mhm.
I also meant to shout this out on general thoughts before we moved on. Um, how much I liked Crosshair Squad as well, or at least like the War Mantle
Yeah.
Squad.
Mm,
Um, which just their visual identity, I feel like is still somehow like linked to the Death Troopers because
hmm
they both are the black with the green
Green
visors
visor.
and everything. That feels like they might have been like the first iteration of Death Troopers or something,
Mhm.
which I thought was neat. I just thought they looked
Yeah.
cool. If they make
Oh
figures
yeah.
of any of them, I'm gonna have to need that. I'd love to
They just
see.
have a generic one.
Yeah. I mean, generic one's fine. I really hope they do another crosshair of him
He's
in
like
the War
Walmart
Mantle armor.
exclusive.
Yeah, of
Walmart
course.
or Target
Is it
exclusive.
already out?
It's pre-orders are up,
Noted.
but yeah.
Uh, noted.
Yeah.
What about you, Josh? What was your favorite part of the show?
The scrapping planet's Braca, right?
Yeah.
Everything on Braca, I gotta say.
Yeah. Yeah.
First of all, like having Rex there to help guide the guys into removing the chips. That scene,
Can we talk about his cloak
everything
too?
where,
His cloaks
oh
on
yeah,
armor always looks cool. Boba Fett,
always badass.
Master
Oh yeah,
Chief. Come on.
yeah. We nailed this in the episode that got lost, but
We
yeah,
did. Yeah.
absolutely just all that's like like cloaks over armor, always badass. But having him like escort the boys like through the process, and of course they're too late to wreck her, and of course like he turns and he's after Omega, and it's filmed like a horror movie, and they like pan into where you think she's gonna be, and he like of course just throws the like door off to the side, and then she's like thankfully somewhere else and still safe, and then they're eventually able to get the chip out, and then having the follow up like the conversation between Rex and Hunter of like, there's something bigger here at play, like you should kind of join the rebellion is what Rex is hinting at,
Mhm.
because that's the path that he's about to do. And then the next episode is like the first time we see Crosshair and his gang pull up on the Bad Batch, and
Oh
they
yeah.
are just making it out of there by the skin of their teeth. Like every encounter they have, like I was on the edge of my seat that entire episode. Like whether it be like they're in the kind of the place where all the cannons are, and they like blast back and shoot
Mhm.
like Crosshair against the
That's so
wall, or
cool.
they straight up just fry him like a
Yeah, they
marshmallow.
give him the Anakin Skywalker
Oh
special.
yeah, and then just to have them escape by the like skin of their teeth, and then who's at the end? Cad Bane and the shootout. Oh my God, what a way to end an episode! And I said this on the second episode we lost, but I wish we would have like hung on the possibility of Hunter being dead for another episode. Like, don't show him
Mhm.
come back. Like, start the next episode with that visor shot.
It's so cool though.
Like just yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Just leave everyone on the edge of their seats for like a week, like
Mhm.
just guessing, speculating, like scared as to like what actually went down. But of course, it's Star Wars. Like, it's a bit of a cartoon. So like it is a cartoon. So like, of course,
Sort
they
of.
show him
It's
breathing.
similar to a cartoon.
Yeah, exactly. So of course, he's still breathing after the shot, but like Cad Bane still pulled up on him. So that was incredible. A mini moment. I can if I touch upon this.
Absolutely.
The food fight. The food fight
Yeah,
in episode
man.
1.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
feel like we're not gonna give it enough love. So I love a good a good food fight.
Because
And
they
like
also do the cool move that I love of somebody taking a tray and sliding it under somebody's foot, so they slip and fall. Like that's just so
Mhm.
dope.
exactly. And like
It's
Crosshair's
like
just
some Jackie
chucking
Chan shit.
trays. Yeah, exactly. Like we just witnessed like Order 66 with these boys, and now we're like having a food fight. I
Like,
loved it,
haha,
dude.
this is so funny. We're so silly.
Exactly. Little
If you
did they
guys like
know
a
what was
good
about to come.
if you guys like a good food fight, the one from Ruby is great.
Ooh,
I agree with
okay.
that.
Mm.
That one, the community one. Yeah, so just seeing a
Community was
food
great.
fight in Star Wars, which I never thought we ever would have got. But
Right?
of course, if there's anywhere for a food fight in Star Wars, it's gonna be one of these
Super.
cartoons.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Awesome. 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 All right. Any other like little favorite things y'all want to touch on before we move on?
Um, if I can give one more,
Absolutely,
if I can go a little favorite
bro.
thing.
This is what we're here for, homie.
Seeing Camino as a ghost town was kind
Oh
of
yeah.
unsettling. We're coming up next year marks 20 years since Attack of the Clones, since that
Hmm.
planet was first introduced, and we've seen it through so many iterations. We've seen it lively and full, whether it be the actual movies. We've spent like time there, like countless times in Clone Wars, getting to know the characters. We've seen it in Lego form. We've played Battlefront 2 where it's under attack and we got to defend the points. But to see it just dead, and there's maybe 4 people, or not 4 people, there's like at least like 8 people
Yeah.
on there occupying it was incredible. And just like all the shots during the last 2 episodes of like shooting around and just blank empty spaces, empty pods. When it's like falling in the water and the Bad Batch are like sliding down the tube, and then it cuts to it just falling and sinking deeper into the water, and then cuts back to them like sliding and getting stuck in the tube. Like it was incredible in the finale. So
Uh,
I absolutely love that.
I was gonna say real quick, and I brought this up on the second episode. Uh, uh, the is it Bounty Lost when Fennec and Cad Bane are fighting, and I just had this thought. I was like, wow, these are two like newer generation characters fighting, and it has so much like meaning to like a lot of people now, and it's just cool that they're able like Star Wars.
Yep.
Obviously, Star Wars is still tied to the original trilogy and the original like kind of vibe that those movies kind of set. And so
Hmm.
seeing these two new characters fighting in a prequel era planet was really great. Although I guess it was more like Cloud City, but it was still like Camino esque.
Right.
But yeah, it was
Yeah.
that was awesome. That was just cool to see.
Hmm.
Super great. Also,
Yeah.
there's just that one shot on that last episode in Camino the 2, right when Omega gets out of her tube. Again, I'm talking about like the shot like choreography or whatever, but it pulls out and you get like this huge shot of the ocean, and then like her and the tube are just real tiny, like right in the middle. You have light streaming in from the right side, and I was just like,
Oh yeah.
"Damn, this looks incredible!"
Oh yeah.
Like, oh my
Yeah.
god, like I have that show like like tattooed on my brain. Like it's so awesome.
Mhm. A couple of other moments that I just before we move on, just the whole bit with the Rancor. Loved seeing
Of course.
how Jabba gets the Rancor.
Mhm.
It's cool to see.
Fighting the Rancor.
Record fighting the Rancor is great because they clearly did it for like a
Yeah.
half hour.
Yeah.
Just
like
because the rest of the crew walks over and they're
Just exhausted.
and I don't remember why I can never remember the name of the Twi'lek that works in Jabba's palace.
Bib Fortuna.
Bib Fortuna. Thank you. Fun fact about that: that was actually like the voice of Bib Fortuna was actually the actor that played him in Return of the Jedi, which
That's
I thought was cool.
awesome.
That's awesome.
And also at the end of Mandalorian season 2, I might add, same guy.
Oh.
Yeah.
Another
Spoilers if
moment.
you haven't seen Mandalorian. I don't know why you're here if you haven't. Fix your life.
Please.
Yeah. Another moment was just in the finale, them returning to their pod. That was just a really cool moment.
Yeah.
Really great. I like that. If I decided to touch on like another little thing, I do love the fact that Sid's bar was located in Ord Mantell, which is not a planet that we'd seen in any canon material yet. And for fans of the expanded universe, that is a very, very famous. I mean, it's exactly as it is in the show. Really, they did a great job, I think, of adapting that into the new canon. But there's lots of old expanded universe stories about Han Solo specifically, like doing things on Ord Mantell, and so I was very excited to see it look as seedy as it deserves. And on that note. And I'll go first when we go into this to maybe give you guys time to think about it if you have any. I also wanted to talk about some of your favorite expanded universe references within the show. I I don't know like if you have one like at the ready or not. So I'm sorry about that. I just thought this would be a
That's
fun
fine.
idea.
Yeah.
But I will go first, and because this one's the freshest on my brain because it's from the last episode, the last scene of the finale, even where we see Lama Su brought into an Imperial cloning facility on the planet Wayland, which see Brett knows where I'm going with this. Wayland, of course, is the planet from the original Thrawn trilogy, the thing that started the expanded universe off, like the very beginning. Wayland was where we got the clones of Jorah Saboth and Luke Skywalker in the Thrawn trilogy. On top of that, the cloner, like the Imperial employee that comes out to talk to Lama Su, the uniform she's wearing is the same one that we see on the dude with the glasses wearing in Mandalorian. Same uniform, same logo. So I thought that was all interesting. But the idea that I was like, wow, so we've gotten Thrawn back. We're getting Wayland back. It's like just readapting the original Thrawn trilogy into the new canon, and I really really enjoy that. So that's fascinating, and also I think they're doing a great job of it because it's also sort of feeding like the larger story of preparing for the eventual like death and cloning of the Emperor as well.
Yep.
Right.
Which I know Brett loves.
Yeah, I feel like this is setting that up. Like, yeah, like again, you said to be kind of like maybe completed in like the Ahsoka Thrawn show.
100%, 100%. But it's just cool to see Wayland there. I was really I was really enjoying that. It's not even a name drop in the show. It was actually something that was put out on the Star Wars website after the finale came out. They released some art assets and stuff, and some art of Wayland was listed as like the mountains on Wayland, and everyone was like, "Oh shit, that's the name of that planet." So that's really really cool. Brett, why don't you go next? I can still hear you. I need to close my blinds because it's dark in here.
Okay. Yeah, and I brought it up already, but I think showing Scorch from Republic Commando was huge because obviously the game is no longer canon, but they literally get like a 30-second or 3-second cameo in was it like season 5 of the Clone Wars or something? Whenever Savage is kind of running amok, and so seeing Scorch back in action just reaffirms that they're that whole squad's still canon, and the Republic Commando game is amazing. The book is great, and so I hope that we get more of that squad. I was hoping to see more in the show of like Imperial Commandos, because
Yeah,
that is more legend stuff that would have been awesome. Which we might get. I mean, there's still more of the show or just in a
I do
book or
really like
whatever.
the idea though that uh the commandos are the clones, and then the stormtroopers are not. I just find that interesting that the ones leading all of these platoons are still clones,
Mhm,
because that sort of is again a cool adaptation of the old expanded universe to where it eventually got like kind of whittled down to where like clones were only part of like the 501st.
mhm.
Um, but there was a point where they were both part of it, and so I think that's just really neat.
Yeah.
Also,
So
was Scorch was he Delta 62? Do you
Uh,
do
I
you remember?
believe Scorch
Because
is
Scorch
yeah,
was the guy that was voiced by Cartho Nassi, right?
RC1262.
Yeah. I'm just curious because we don't hear. I don't recall hearing his voice at any rate in the show.
Mhm.
I might have to go watch that bit back again.
I don't think he talks.
Yeah, because I think in the game, Karth is or Scorch is voiced by the same guy who voices Cartho Nassi in Knights of the Old Republic / also
Uh-huh.
that one dude in Mass Effect whose name I can never remember.
Kaiden.
Kaiden, thank you. Uh, Kaiden, whatever. One of the is it Kaiden or Kaiden? I haven't played this game in a long time.
I'm not sure.
Hayden.
I think it's Caden.
Is it
Yeah.
Kaiden?
Is it
I don't
Kaiden?
remember.
Okay.
Whatever his name is. But I always really like that actor. He also plays he's got a small part in one episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender as well. But
Mhm.
I just like the idea of we're so we're so close to getting Garth canonized. I want it. Josh, what about you, man? Do you have a favorite expanded universe reference?
I think I got just go with the Republic Commandos. Like, just seeing those dudes as a kid and like the box art for the game, like it was always so sick. And I'm glad they're bringing them back. Between like Battlefront 2, they're like playable characters. The game they relaunched back in April or like
Mhm.
put out on current systems, and so yeah, when the like elevator door opens up and you see him for the first time, I was like, holy shit! And seeing him again back at the finale, again, I'm hoping to see some more of them in season 2. But yeah, I think that's what I gotta go with.
Excellent, excellent. I do like that a lot. Yeah, and I mean, it was just very cool to see Commandos again because I mean, the last time we technically saw them
Mhm.
was in Battlefront 2
Hmm.
when they brought them in
Specialist.
yeah,
Well,
as a specialist as a reinforcement.
Hmm.
because um, yeah, I'm gonna get into spoilers for like the Legends book and stuff, but yeah, sorry.
Yeah, well, I mean, the Legends book they become stormtroopers. Like, I'll just throw
Uh-huh.
that out there. So where there's one book called Republic Commando and a second book called Imperial Commando.
Hmm.
Um, and so it could again like seeing them like working for the Empire now fits. Now, granted, the
Mhm.
Right.
books were about Delta Squad, but I mean, it's a whole thing.
Hmm.
Um, I'll also circle back around to you just in case. If not, I've got some. I don't know if you did like
Yeah.
any hand pulling or anything while we were sitting here.
Not really, no. I just remember at one point, talking about like Ord Mantell, like where Sid's bar was, they kept getting that snack. And I know I remember you mentioning something about Galaxy's Edge. They had a snack
Okay, I'm
similar
very
to
glad you
that.
brought that up because I was going to touch on that
Okay,
here in
cool.
just a moment, which is yeah. So the Mantel mix, the popcorn that Wrecker and Omega eat after successful missions, it is
Every
and
episode.
isn't a yeah, pretty much every episode. Uh, is and isn't an expanded universe like tie-in, if you will. Um,
Hmm.
at Galaxy's Edge, the Star Wars theme parks in Disneyland and Disney World, you can get similar style popcorn that's called the Outpost Mix. Um, and it's like they have like a sweet and spicy like kettle corn kind of thing is what it is.
Right.
And it looks almost exactly like the one in the show. And I went and found like this Wikipedia article talking about how like most planets have like their own version of this like snack flavored popcorn. And they all have different names and stuff. And so I do like the idea that it's a cool like little tie-in that sort of connects all of those Star Wars properties
Mhm.
together. But they also made it a little different for the show, which is really really cool. I really want to go to Galaxy's Edge. Um, On that note, another reference I really liked was seeing the Pikes again. Uh,
Oh,
in that one episode, who of course were originally introduced, I believe, in Clone Wars. Is that the Clone Wars, or it might have been Rebels even. Um, I want to say Clone Wars, but I know for sure they were in Rebels, and then we also get to briefly see them in Solo as well.
Mhm.
Um, which, which is really cool. Something else I liked. I mean, you mentioned it earlier, Josh, was the scene after Hunter gets attacked by Cad Bane. We get a first-person view for a second, and the heads-up display in his helmet is exactly the heads-up
Right.
display from the Republic Commando game. Sound effects
Mhm.
and all, lifted straight out of it.
That's awesome.
Mhm.
Which is unbelievable. I really hope that their visor does like the white thing. Like,
Right.
that's all I want to see. I need to see that
Mhm.
brought back and canonized. Um, Let me think. Another small little thing, not necessarily an expanded universe, but the idea that Omega being more of an unaltered clone kind of makes her like the little sister of Boba Fett,
Mhm.
which is interesting. And so
And she's
hopefully
technically older than the Bad
older than
Batch.
the Bad Batch, who have
Mhm.
Yeah.
accelerated aging.
Mhm.
Yeah, it hadn't occurred to me that because her age wasn't accelerated, that she would technically be older than most clones.
Mhm.
Uh, there was one more that I wanted to put. Oh yes. Um, During the scene, or at least like immediately after the cloning facility on Camino is destroyed, you can hear an alarm going off throughout the facility. That alarm sound effect is lifted straight out of the very first level of The Force Unleashed. Um,
Ah.
when you go to the Imperial shipyard, where they build, I believe, Star Destroyers. Um,
Great game. Go play it.
and like TIE fighters
Mhm.
and those sorts of things. And so there's alarm that goes off in that same thing. And so that was one where it's like I've played that level a million times. That was one of my
Mhm.
favorite things to do when I was fully leveled up. I'd just go back to level 1 and throw
Just
stormtroopers around for a little while.
not even stormtroopers, just TIE fighters.
Oh yeah, whatever I could get my hands on, my force hands on.
Literally, like, uh, just a side tangent about the Force Unleashed. Like that first level, you could literally take like the blades of like the TIE fighters and just
Mhm.
hurl them across and just destroy stormtroopers.
In fact,
Mhm.
there's a holocron that you can get in the game where you have to pick up some of the wings and like slot them into the wall so you can
Yep.
jump on it and get up to the holocron.
Mhm.
Um, but I also like that because somebody had pointed that out on Twitter and tagged Sam Witwer in it, who's the voice of Starkiller in that game, as well as like the Emperor and a bunch of other people like within the animated
Maul.
shows as well. Darth Maul, um, who he voices Maul in just about everything now. The video games, he's Solo, like all of that.
Mhm.
But they were like, "Hey, this is so cool! They use a sound effect from your video game." And Sam was like, "Yeah, if you look, the audio designer, the lead audio designer on Bad Batch was the same lead audio designer from Force Unleashed."
Oh, that's really
Which
cool.
I thought was really fascinating, which explains all of the cool like video game references in particular, because I believe he also worked on Republic Commando.
Right.
Another side tangent. I saw something. I think it might have been on TikTok. With Sam Witwer, saying when he was auditioning for Starkiller,
Mhm.
they did an audition of him like building his lightsaber, and it's talking about how like him being just the nerd he is and knowing everything about Star Wars. He was just like sitting there because Jedi is supposed to be like meditating all calm, and he said he was at Starkiller. He was like all white knuckled and like tense, and he's just like a Sith never knows how to meditate or find their inner calm. So
Right.
that's his
Uh,
image of it.
Mhm.
that's his
So I
interpretation
thought
of
that
it.
was a really
That's
cool
really
one.
cool.
Oh yeah.
Because Sam Witwer's a huge Star Wars nerd. Like it's crazy.
Mhm.
He's done like
Mhm.
full on Twitch streams where he just like dives super deep into lore and stuff. So go follow him on Twitch if you don't. He also does like a bunch of like Star Wars role playing games. He streams Star Wars games every now and then. He's a cool guy.
Also find
I wa-
Chris's impress or clip where he impersonates the mall yell pretty well.
That's a good one. That's a real good one. Uh, I'll share that again on Twitter or something when we release this episode. And then to wrap it up, we're gonna go around the digital room here one more time. I want to hear who your favorite member of the Bad Batch is and why. Alec, you first.
Oh, right off the cuff, I'd probably say Wrecker. Like I
Yeah.
just liked how, like, because he's always that guy that's just like brings the firepower, but then he's also got that comedic and like lightheartedness to him too.
Absolutely. Brett, what about you, man?
Oh man, I I I'm gonna go with Tech. I'm gonna go with
Cool.
Tech. I always love characters that can rely on gadgetry to enhance like
Like Donatello.
what they can do, and what he does with Tech, he's pretty essential to that squad. I feel like.
Donatello, Sokka, like that sort of thing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Uh, plus his armor looks awesome with the goggles and all that. He has my favorite armor set out of the group, and
Hell
then
yeah.
and then Echo is going to be my second pick. He's like my one B, just because I love the merging of him being part like robot, him being a reg, him still being able to contribute. So yeah, but Tech for sure.
Echo, I think, has my favorite helmet in the squad because it's
1000%.
sectioned out to fit onto the rest of the stuff that he's got on the back of his head. So it's almost like a mask that comes over the top as well. I think that's a neat touch.
Mm-hmm.
Josh, how about you, man?
I think I gotta go Wrecker as well. And Al Bob nailed it. Like I love the like big, dumb, strong dude who's just like,
Himbo.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
He's just
yeah.
like, um, just brash and like shoots first, asks questions later, and well, more like destroy everything first. Ask questions later, blow shit up, but also then yeah, he has that lighthearted element to him where like he's a big softy, and I feel like after Hunter's kind of like the next like father figure or like older brother figure um, to Omega, and just seeing their relationship. Like they had so many funny moments together, whether they're like fist bumping over something inappropriate or, like he always plays off her so well. And yeah, I gotta go Wrecker.
Okay. Well, my favorite is also Wrecker. Like for all of the reasons you guys have stated. I also love that he's got like a fear of heights. Like I
Oh
I
yeah.
I, I love when
Yeah.
like big strong dudes have like that one flaw. And so that's really fun. I'm not gonna. We've all talked about him. I'm not gonna go into like he does have my favorite armor in the set though too. I think Wrecker's armor is the
Mhm.
coolest.
The
To
99s
kind of
on the
be
forehead.
yeah, dude, it's so
Mhm.
sick. To break the trend a little bit, not technically part of the Bad Batch, but I will say Crosshair as well.
Yeah.
Um, I know he's the bad guy or whatever, but I think he's one of the most interesting characters in the show. I really like his armor too, and he's got like and I will never get tired of him like bouncing lasers off of walls and shit to kill like
Mhm.
multiple enemies at once. So rad.
Oh yeah.
I love that.
1000%.
And
I
so
wish I wish he never used like the turret gun. He always had like the
mhm.
DC-15 kind of or whatever the Republic Commando blaster is.
Yeah. I think it is the DC-15. I think you're right about that. But yeah, we do see more action out of him with the pistol rather than the rifle, really.
I know,
Mhm.
yeah.
Outside of like the intro when he's shooting robots. I mean, come on, he looks so cool. I
Oh
love the
yeah.
actual crosshair over the helmet though too. It's so
Hmm.
dope. It's
The
actually
one.
lighter on that pop figure than it is in the show though
Hmm.
too. It's a
Yeah.
lot less gray. Yeah, dude, Wrecker's helmet is dope. Come on,
Do all Funko's heads bobble?
the Star Wars ones do,
Okay.
Mhm.
and then
And
some
Marvel.
of the Marvel ones.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sick.
There we go. Let's go.
I don't like Tech's actual goggles, but I love the visor that comes down. I think that's a really
Because
cool
you
look.
can see still see his eyes through his goggles.
Yeah.
The one complaint I will say I have with these, Hunter, they give him just a pistol. Let him have his knife.
Yeah.
Might be
Right?
too violent for a kid's toy.
Mhm.
And and
I know,
gun, like
but
the
like
sniper, like
whatever.
it's
Like
like his
whatever.
thing. The knife is his
Right.
thing. Like he's a tracker.
Also shout out to Hunter though too. I do like him as a
Yeah.
character a lot.
He
It
Honestly,
feels like a cop out to
everybody.
say main character in
Everybody.
my show is the favorite, but I mean,
Yeah. He'd be my 1B for sure. My only
yeah.
issue with him is just the Rambo tie. Like my brain
Honestly, I
cannot
love that.
not see
Mhm.
that. Like I mean, I love it too, but still, like my brain. There's
It's
something about
100%
it.
on
Just
purpose though,
crosswires it.
because he's like a hunter. He's a tracker. Like that's his thing, and it's like that's kind of also the sort of same sort of thing you could typically associate with Rambo as well as like hunting people through the jungles and shit. So
Right.
that has to be
I
an
w-
homage. Like there's no way that's
mhm.
Hmm.
a coincidence.
They know what's up.
Mhm.
I'll say my 1B is probably Omega, just
Hey,
because,
okay.
like, I don't know. I liked how she, like they say, she is the strategist. Like how she picked up on that game so quickly. Like, and I will say that was kind of dropped a bit towards the end, the latter half of the season. Like after that episode, like because it's a little spoiler, but
After that
that
episode, they kind of go back to the Hunter, let's do this thing, and Hunter's like, no, and then Omega's like, but please, and then Hunter goes, okay.
Right,
Like I
but
thought we were past that.
I was gonna say, like, it was such a cool moment at the end when you have like her playing the game and Sid's behind her, like you're gonna be a great strategist kind of a thing. And
Yeah,
like I was gonna have that as the thumbnail image, and
that's sick. I like that.
but yeah, that didn't really go anywhere.
Nah.
We
Yeah,
do, we
it just
do
sort of
see
stops after
that in the finale though, when she's calling the shots for how they
That's
get
true.
out.
I mean,
That's true.
yeah, but when you have that as like a halfway point through the season, and
Right.
that's your only thing in the finale, like it feels like it was just kind of
Well,
The finale though was also much more character heavy than it really was like action heavy, which I was not expecting, but
Right,
I
yeah.
enjoyed a lot. I thought that was
Right.
cool.
Mhm.
Speaking of
So
the
yeah,
finale, real quick,
I think it's. Oh yeah, go ahead.
how the heck is Crosshair going to get off that platform?
Oh, that's a great question.
He probably has like a pager or something.
I don't
right?
want to. I actually know. If you want me to spoil the fun,
Go ahead.
um,
This is
the
a
re-
spoiler
actually
cast, by the way.
I mean the reason that the batch gets out there is one of them drops a line. Is like, hey, we should go before scouts come back. Like
Right.
they're gonna they're sending
Okay.
people to confirm that Camino was destroyed.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So that's how Crosshair will get out.
Mhm.
Sorry, I know it's no fun to be like, well, actually,
But I
That's
mean,
the one.
still though, like it's like they're like they don't know that platform was there. Like
Mhm.
it's one person.
yeah. But
that
if
they
it's
could
the
come
only
through.
thing left, or he'll be like, hey.
Yeah.
True.
I would love to. I
He's
would love to see
resourceful, I'm
Crosshair
sure.
like jumping and screaming.
Oh yeah.
Create a little like smoke signal somehow.
Yeah. With all the water around him.
Right.
Because I think they took his gun.
They
He
did.
literally has nothing. That's why I was so curious. Like he has gun, took his backpack.
Hunter
Like
took his backpack and gun, bro.
he has nothing. He won't die of thirst.
Mhm.
I hope it's not salty.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure
Do we
Helmet
know
has something.
is Camino full of salt water? Does Camino have salt water?
Some like.
I'm sure their helmet has
space
something
salt.
to
Like filtered or
filter
something,
that.
maybe?
Yeah.
Filtration.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm on Wikipedia. I'm just going to search for salt. No mention of salt water yet on Wikipedia, at least. So I can neither confirm nor deny that Camino is surrounded by fresh water.
Let us
If,
know in the
if
comments.
you get one question, sorry, go ahead, Alec.
I was gonna say, let us know in the comments if you know.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say if you get one question with Dave Filoni, that has to be it. Like,
Absolutely, be like,
you're
hey,
granted one question.
just Camino
About
surrounded by
anything
salt
Star
water.
Wars.
Exactly.
Could you
I
imagine?
know for a fact that Manon is salty. We know that,
Mm.
but we don't know about Camino yet.
Same with Crate.
Mhm.
Great, we definitely know has salt on it.
Yeah.
They went out of their way to be like, "Hey, this isn't snow." Awesome. Well, thank you guys as always for watching. I've been Chris. That's Alec. That's Josh. That's Brett, and you've been watching. This is the Waypoint. We'll be back eventually for Book of Boba whenever that comes out. Maybe we'll even do a spoiler cast on Star Wars Visions when that comes out, the anime series, which looks very, very cool if that's your thing. Like, comment, subscribe if you guys were into the Bad Batch at all. What did you think of it? Who was your favorite character? What was your favorite moment? All the same questions I asked here. Drop them right down below, or follow any of us on Twitter. We'd love to talk to you all about it there.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see you again at the next Waypoint.
You're my brother too.
Turn it off. Turn it off!